Okay, so welcome to our Study Abroad podcast series. So today we have Divya, who's from Jaipur, and then she did her master's from Edinburgh. So we'll be knowing about her journey from Jaipur to Edinburgh. So welcome Divya to our podcast.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me here.
Sure, sure. So Divya, when was the very first time you thought about you should go abroad, or there is something called abroad, or some abroad exposure is maybe necessary for you?
Sir, when I was quite young, people around me used to speak highly about institutions such as Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard. So I used to listen all these names, and I used to tell my parents that one day I'll go there. And they used to never say no to me. They used to always say, "Yeah, you should aim for the highest level of education that you can achieve." So precisely, the idea of going abroad, it struck my mind when I was working at Archaeological Survey of India. So one day, I went to the director of ASI and I asked her that there's one Delhi Eye which has been opened recently, and may I take a leave and visit there? So the director looked at me and she laughed at me, saying, "Who goes to Delhi Eye? Like, if you have the capability, go to London Eye." And that's when I decided to go to the UK for my master's. And I was doing archaeology, but while doing archaeology, I found myself a little more inclined towards the written part, that is the historical part, and how things happened, how things evolved. So then I learned about the universities, and I got to know that the department at University of Edinburgh for history, it's 350 years old. And at that moment, I decided that I should go there for my master's.
So when you decided that you want to pursue your master's from UK and Edinburgh was like let's say one of the place, were you also considering some other colleges? How many applications did you fill? How many colleges?
So, sir, it was in March that I decided, March 2023, and I was pretty late. So I just went to the site, to the online, like to Google, and I basically searched the list of universities offering masters in history, and I realized there's something called Russell Group. And when I researched even more, I got to know that it's some prestigious universities which are counted under the Russell Group. So because I was very underconfident in that moment, so I opened the QS World Rankings, and I went from like 90 to first. Like I started my application from the 90th university that is ranked, which was the University of Glasgow. And as I proceeded, I covered the entire Russell Group, and then finally I got the offer
So
letter from University of Edinburgh.
this Russell Group is like a group of 5-10 universities or more than that?
No, there are more than that, and they have better ranking, I would say, when we look at the QS World rankings, and because it's on multiple parameters, the exposure, the quality of education, and the research that is involved. So I think that if one is applying, one should just give it a look, maybe, and then decide. So,
And I think you were like you mentioned you were looking at this 90 to 1, right? So top 100 within top 100 colleges, the Russell Group with the overlap and UK colleges, let's say, and that's how you found your whatever 5, 10, 20 colleges that you applied for.
yes, yes, sir. And it was mainly because I really wanted to go to a reputed institution, because I believe like going to any institutions is not that beneficial. I mean, going to a institution where your subject is valued and you can get the best of it is, I think it will help you like so.
Sure, sure. So when you are applying to all these colleges, you had to probably write some test like English test or something. What test you had to write?
Yes, sir, I had to appear for IELTS, and I appeared for it like before leaving. So
Okay, okay. So one test, no other test you did, like only English test. IELTS was sufficient.
yes, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. And then once you applied and then you got some offers, so how did you pin down to Edinburgh?
So I researched extensively on the fact that what department is good for me. So there's a department-wise ranking also available on Google. It is also released by QS. So you can check that. But my main motivation was I tried to connect with alumni on LinkedIn, and I got to know that doing history from Edinburgh will be quite beneficial for me, because the institution is more research oriented. It's they are not just there to teach you the facts, they are also there to help you with the research and how you can formulate your ideas and build an argument. So I think that was the main reason I went. to University of Edinburgh.
Sure, sure, sure. And once you decided that you'll go to Edinburgh and you had to maybe go through visa process and book your accommodation, flight, which of these gave you a bit of a hiccup or it was all smooth?
So I read a lot, I talk to people a lot, and I research a lot. So I just sat with my laptop and I just saw YouTube videos on how people are doing it, like the ones who made it before me, and the entire process, like even the like filling up of the application forms and stuff like that, applying for visa. I just sat with myself and I did it by my own self because because if I want to go, I had to take a step. So I was quite involved in it. So.
Sure, sure. And once you are done with all this, which flight did you end up taking finally?
Sir, as far as I remember, it was Turkish Airlines. It was via Istanbul, so that.
And you had any other person joining you on the trip or you went solo?
So, sir, when I got accepted, my dad was very excited, and he said that I'm gonna go and leave you. And because like it's a good place to be, Edinburgh is so beautiful. So he accompanied me, and he was there with me for 5 days, and he he helped me a lot. Yeah.
So getting the visa for the parent and all was easy with the student visa or was it a bit cumbersome?
Sir, first of all, I waited for my visa to come, and once it was here, then I applied for my dad's visa. And so they asked for a reason, basically, why are you going to the UK? So my dad mentioned that I'm going because my daughter got admission in the university, and then they don't generally deny because they know that we are going for a reason. So.
Sure, sure. And this whole visa process took a while or was it smooth? How much time did it take in your case?
Sir, I gave a buffer of 30 days because it's generally advised that you should take a gap of 30 days, wait for it for 30 days. And for my dad, it was 15 days. So tourist visas, comparatively, they come a little early as compared to the student visa. So that was that.
Sure, 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 sure. Okay, okay. And once you landed in Edinburgh, so this was your first foreign trip or you had any other trip before?
This was my first foreign trip, sir.
So what were the cultural shocks or the shocks in general that you encountered while on the trip as well as landing there?
Sir, everyone has been very, very helpful with me. So I'm lucky in that sense. As soon as I landed, so the SIM was not working for some reason, though we had a Libara SIM. Libara is a company which runs in the UK. As soon as we landed, it was not working. But then my dad is very street smart, so he managed somehow, and that's how we navigated. It was a pleasant experience. It was very cold, and so I loved it even more.
Sure, sure. And your accommodation was like a hostel accommodation or like a private accommodation, shared accommodation? How was it?
Sir, it was a university accommodation, and the university has multiple accommodations. It was one of them, and it was a flat system basically. There were 4 rooms in a flat and a kitchen. So I had to share the kitchen with 3 other people, but the room was a single seater room.
Sure, sure. And once you settled in your hostel, you had to probably do your cooking, cleaning, washing, laundry, etc. Were you used to some of it, or it was all new for you? How was the adjustment in your case?
Sir, I was not doing it before because I was at home, and I think that generally a lot of children parents don't put that pressure on the children. But I used to love cooking. I still do. So I would say that it was very easy for me. But at times when I was not feeling well or there were some circumstances which were unavoidable, at that time I think I was a little demotivated, and sometimes I had to just manage because I'm a vegetarian, and vegetarian food in the UK, you find it a difficult to find places for it. So
Sure, sure. And once you started your classes after this, what were the surprises, shocks in the education system that you found, like India versus UK for that matter?
so in the UK, they what they do is that they hand over the readings to us like 1 week before the class, and we have to read them. And there were just 3 classes a week, and each class was of 2.5 hours or 2 hours. And we had to go and we had to discuss, like they leave the floor open for the discussion. And like the professor is there, and the professor is basically, what the professor is trying to do is to push us to think more, And then after we have like we discuss the particular topic, the professor takes a stand and then he or she explains it to the students. So I think it is more of a thinking process which goes on in the classroom rather than just a cramming a process which I was a part of earlier when in India. So
How were your assignments? Did you find it hard to do assignments initial days, or was it okay? How was the transition?
sir, initially like the first essay which I did, it was really bad because I didn't know the research style which was followed, but then at till the last, like my dissertation results were announced last week and I fortunately got a merit because I learned through the time. And I used to ask a lot of questions to the professors because in history it's majorly writing, and till the time you don't get good with it you cannot score good marks. So I used to pose a lot of questions to the professors and teachers around, so that helped me.
Sure, sure, sure. And making friends, etc. How was that transition for the initial few months?
So September I went to the UK. October I stood for the elections. So the elections were for the university-wide PGD dot representative and the representative for the History Society, and fortunately I won both of them. So making friends and connecting with people was very easy for me because I would say I love it. I love doing it. And I will tell you something that when I was standing for my election, so I made my posters in multiple languages so that I could, gather votes from all the people across the world. And it was a very pleasant experience. So,
Sure, sure, sure. So once you became the president, did you feel like quite powerful there?
sir, I was a PGT dot representative. That was like I was responsible for the queries, concerns for 14,000 students who are doing masters and who are from different parts of the country. I would not say powerful, but responsible indeed, because I was dealing with a lot of issues that students have, and it was my duty to connect them with the administration and bring in some reforms. And I specifically worked for mental health, which is one of the concerns because Scotland kind of sometimes gets lonely and UK in winter is sometimes depressing too. So one thing which I worked for was mental health, and another thing which I worked for was the high rent rates, and I tried to push forward some of the reforms in that
So
direction.
while working on this mental health because of the weather depression, did you yourself get depressed?
So I'll be very honest with you. In December, when the winter is just around the corner, like it's hitting Scotland, and it gets dark around 3, 4. I used to feel lonely and sometimes depressed as well, and I used to cry a lot. But the only reason that I kept going is I posed this question to myself that what was the decision that made me land up here, and then I just dealt with it in a particular way. So it was tough, but I would say it was worth it. So,
So when you were having this lonely time and crying times, etc., how did you get support from your family? Did they say that, okay, come back, you don't need to finish your degree or something? Or they said, no, you should finish your degree? Or what was going in your own mind?
sir, I am a person, I don't like to burden my parents up with a lot of my stuff. So they were always there, and they used to say things like nahi man lag raha hai to aaja. But the point which I made is like, no, I came this far, I cannot go without a good degree in my hand. And the second thing which kept me going was my travel, was my love for traveling, because I used to travel a lot. So I used to, whenever I used to get some free time, I covered the entire Scotland by my own self. And then I've also been to England, Wales, Northern Ireland. So I travel a lot. That used to keep me busy, and that motivated me to see new things, to do stuff.
So these travels, you did some solo travels also, or it was all group travels?
Sir, some of them were solo travel, like the day trips, because Scotland is very accessible by train. You go to a city, you come back on the same day. Other traveling which I did, other destinations to which I traveled was with my friend. So I had a really good friend there, Ankita, and she was with me and she traveled with me. So.
Sure, sure. And how do you see this group travel versus solo travel as a learning exercise?
Sir, it's very necessary because when you'll come back to India, or if even if you don't come back, you should know everything about the place you're staying in. And Edinburgh has a rich history. Like, and I'm being a history student, Edinburgh has a lot to offer to me. So I think if somebody asks you something about the place in which you have lived, you should have all the answers to it, because it shows how vigilant you are as a person. And I think if people are going somewhere, if not, if they cannot travel like for days, they should at least travel in the city they are in. They should go to the museums, local shops, farmers market, things like that, to keep themselves aware about what is happening. And I would also suggest that they should also follow the local news. Sometimes it's very helpful to follow that. So,
When did your mindset shift from Indian rupees to pounds? How was that shift?
so pound, there it's very expensive, sir. It's very, very expensive. But I would say like I would say like if you make your own food, because obviously being a vegetarian, I had no other option, then you it's still fine. And sir, I am a very minimalist person. I don't like to carry a lot of things with me. I just need one jacket, one shirt, one jeans, and I'm all done. So I don't believe in spending money on materialistic things. I would rather spend it on the experience that the place has to offer. So it was good for me in that way. I mean, like whatever money I've spent, I have no regrets, because it was all on experiences and I carry them with me, the memories. So
And it can't be stolen.
it cannot be stolen, and they are very individual to me. I mean, nobody can, live like another person. So like it's very individualistic. So I would say like
Sure, sure. What about part-time job, internship, etc. that you did while at Edinburgh?
so basically, because I was in the union, so I was so occupied with the union work that I had no time to do part-time jobs. Because literally after my classes, I used to rush for meetings, like till 7 or 8 at night. I used to have my meetings, and after that, sir, I used to have just 4 hours for myself. So I need some rest for the day. So, and basically, I was having two elected positions in my hand, so it was really tough because it was constantly one meeting to the another. And I was not able to do any part-time jobs for that matter, because I was already having union work and it was a lot.
So this union work was also a paid work or it was a pure volunteer work?
Sir, it was a pure volunteer work, but I made a reform, and from next year they will pay the person who will take my place. So I was the one who, because we are working so much, so I made a petition saying that this deserves to be like paid. And I'm not saying that like paid in the sense that they should pay tons and tons of money, but I would say that if a person is working 6 hours for you, they should. I was not able to get the benefit of it, but the coming generations of people who will be on my post will get the benefit of it. So I did something about that.
So the benefit that you will get is you can put this in your CV that I created this petition and now all my successors
Yeah.
will get this benefit. So this is my benefit.
Yes, sir. I did something good for people, so I'm happy about it.
You change the history.
Yeah,
Created
yeah,
history.
not created. I would not speak that highly about me though, but yeah, it was a
No,
good
no, the history
experience.
of this small thing, obviously, not like obviously not changing the history of the world or something, but at least a
Yes,
small history of
a small contribution from my side.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. So then did you also like get a break to do some internship or something in between, or it was all like this volunteer work continued the whole year?
Sir, basically, I would not say that it was a volunteer work, because it involved a lot of planning of events, and it involved a lot of systematic planning of events. Because like I planned a trip to Vienna while working in the History Society, though I was not able to go on the trip because visa issues. But then I was the one who was handling some stuff there, and then again, like planning something for the PGT taught students, because master student they tend to be busy, so planning stuff for them was like a little tough. So it kept me so involved, the classes, the assignments, the work, that I literally had no time to do anything apart from it, for that matter. And I also like enrolled, but did enroll myself in like short term courses, so from different universities like Cambridge, Oxford. Whenever they used to have a short term course, I made it a point to either take it online or just visit there and take it, because UK the commute is good. So,
Sure, sure. So you visited England also and Scotland also. What difference do you see England versus
sir, I would say like Scotland is more peaceful. It's very calm. It's very like near to nature. The life is very, I would say, peaceful and slow. And about England, I would say like it's more commercial. Like people are working, like especially London, it's very busy. Population is more. So I would say that's the main difference. Like I would prefer living in Scotland if I am a person who likes peaceful life. But if I'm a person who likes the vibe, like the energy, then I would go to London or some other place in England.
Sure. What was your class demographics like? Like what kind of people you had in the class? Different countries, different ethnicity, or it was a bit skewed towards some origins?
Sir, a lot of people from US were there in the class. Like I would say 40%, 50% of the class was students from the USA. And then I would say Indians, if I would say, I think I was the only Indian apart from one other person who was doing a different course. So she was in the department, but in a different course. So I would say for my course, I was the like only Indian, but it was more of a mixed format. So I would say two Indians, for like 90 people were there in the department. Total in total 90 students were there, and two were Indians, me and one other friend of mine. So that, and we had people from the UK, and it's very shocking to me, but the people from like Scotland were like, I just think there were two three people from Scotland and like 10 people in total from England and Scotland. So it was
Most of them
separated.
would have gone to some other country.
Yes, sir. And Chinese people were also there. Like people from China were there, people from US were there, and India, obviously. So,
Sure, sure, sure. So these demographics would have also helped you a bit with the intercultural communication and learning, etc.
yes, sir. I absolutely loved it. So, like my Chinese friends, they used to make me Chinese sweet dishes sometimes. So I used to, enjoy them, and I used to present them with my food, like whatever I used to make. So it was nice.
Sure, sure. So coming to the second last question now, what are your future goals from now, like next few years? What do you plan to do?
So before going to the UK, I decided that I don't wanna work there, as in like I don't wanna stay there for my life. And I had it long back in mind that I wanna come back to India. So for now, like I am thinking like of appearing for certain government exams, or I'm also planning to apply for PhD, but not right now. I would like to take a break, maybe research and write a book, and then maybe go for a PhD, because uh, it's too early for doing a PhD. I would say like some experience before doing a PhD matters a lot. So it's on my list, but for now, like I would like to work in India, and I would like most probably like to work with public and deal with public affairs. So something.
Sure, sure. So coming to the very last question, Divya, what advice would you give to younger yourself? So people who are aspiring to go abroad, people like you 5 years ago, etc. Like any pro tips, any tips from your side?
Sir, I would like to say that aim for the highest. I mean, if you are aiming, first is that. Second, believe in yourself, because if you go there and you are underconfident in your own self, like if you reflect that underconfidence, then people will take you like that. So you have to be really confident while speaking to others, while putting forward what you think. You should not feel that that people will not listen to you, because if you'll not speak, how will they listen? And because sometimes we think that it's a different country, different people. So I would say like people all over the world are same. You just need a heart to connect. Like I would say like language still comes secondary to me. I would say that the amount of respect and the feelings that you have matter the most, because you should carry love with you, and it will reflect back to you in some or the other way.
Sure, sure. So thank you, Divya, for your time and your experiences that were quite valuable for our audience, and we hope our audience have learned something.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And sir, I've seen the channel, I've seen the page, and you're doing a really great work. Because if I would have found your channel before, I would have definitely listened to all the podcasts, and it would have helped me a lot. So I hope that this podcast it helps somebody like me who is aspiring to go abroad.
Sure, sure. Thank you very much, Divya. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye. Thank you.